It's got fat.
It's got fat, it's got fat. It's got fat, it's got fat.
I barely figured out how to turn the stupid camera on.
Welcome to Fab Open Mic. It is I, Guy Fab. Just wanted to give you a quick tournament report. I just finished my first Road to Nationals tournament, and it was a lot of fun. So I played Lexi. I was on fuseless Lexi, even though I prefer ice Lexi. Rest in peace. Amulet of Ice and Hypothermia. Icelander get living legend already, so I can have my toys back. But I did play the fuseless Lexi this time, and we actually made top 8. So top 4 got an invite to Nationals. Sadly, I lost in the first round, single tier. But I thought it would be fun just to go through the rounds real quick, and then take you through my build and let me know what you think.
I barely figured out how to turn the stupid camera on.
Alright, so the tournament had 41 players, so it was 6 rounds with a cut to top 8 after 6 rounds. And I lost my first round, and my opponent was Heavy Traffic. So Lexi, real bad matchup into Heavy Traffic, turns out. I got to the tournament an hour late, so I had to call the venue to ask them not to drop me, because I thought I left myself enough time, but I did not leave myself enough time. And they were super awesome, or like, yep, we got you. So I showed up, literally almost missed the start of round 2. The parents had been posted as I walked into the door, so it was a little bit harrowing. I was a little off-kilter, off-balance. And round 2, I sat down across from, you guessed it, another Lexi. So there were 7 Lexis at the tournament, and I think the second most represented was 6 Dromai. And I was able to draw my 3 of a kinds and codexes more than my opponent, so we were able to take that round down. Round 3, I played against Dromai, and I was somehow able to win. There was one pretty pivotal turn where my opponent took some damage that I thought they should have blocked, so I ascertained that they were trying to set up for a big turn and didn't want to block that turn. I took that opportunity to use a couple of my power spikes with my Snapdragons and bracers, so it was a little risky, but I got ahead early enough. I was correct. They didn't block anything that turn, so they took a buttload of damage, and was able to have them on their back foot early, so I could close out the late game before they got too much advantage. That coupled with me drawing my poppers whenever I needed them. So against Dromai, I recommend that you also draw your poppers whenever you need them, and you should be totally fine. Round 3, so that was round 3. Round 4, I played against Usuri, and holy moly. If I wasn't playing Lexi, that's probably the hero I would be on. Super fun to play, super not fun to play against. Very, very disorienting. They came out of the gate super strong with just, shakedowns, leave no witnesses, like turn after turn, switching into, devastating hand disruption attacks, picking my hand apart, forcing me to block inefficiently, and I fell behind really early, and I was down to 2. I took some extra damage so I could get an Arctic Incarceration into my arsenal, because the only way I was going to get back in is if I could get them to brick on an entire turn. So I was able to go to 2, and then essentially on my turn give them 4 frostbites, as my arsenal was my only card, and it worked. They missed their whole turn because they were running the red line list, so I knew that their chances of being able to do anything impactful was slim to none. And then I was able to take the tempo back at that point and force them. Lexi can present so much damage every turn that, if I could force 3 cards out of their hand and still deal damage. So I was able to battle back and with a very narrow victory. But, all my opponents were super fun. I gave everybody that I played a promo. from, the content creator program, so it was cool. And then round 5, I played against Katsu, which I haven't played against Katsu. I used to play Katsu, but that deck was very different when I was playing it. You gotta look out. That's a tough one to block against, but I was able to key Remorseless hit did 3 to 4 extra damage on their turn because they take, they play so many action cards. So that was huge. And then I had a tar pit trap banked in an arsenal that I was at 3, was able to block a Kodachi. A Kodachi came in, I threw my Tunic in front of it, and they went to raise a reflex, and the tar pit trap saved the day. And then I was able to close out on the following turn. And then round 6 played against another Lexi, so I was actually at table 1 at that point, which was crazy. I showed up an hour late, and so I was playing against I think one of the only 1 or 2, maybe 3 undefeated players at that point. Really good player, a national participant in the past, I believe, and had knocked me out of a ProQuest previously when I was playing Ice Lexi when it was not recommended to do so, and they were on Dash. But it was a super close game. We were both just, how much damage do you deal? Okay. How much damage do you deal? Got it. And it kind of went like that till we both got down to about 3 or 4 life. And I forget what happened. I was in a situation where if I played around Rain Razors, I was likely not going to win. And if I didn't play around Rain Razors and they had it, I lost. And they had it. With the 1 card in the hand was a Rain Razors. But I may have lost that anyway. I got in a pretty bad spot at the end. Don't quite remember how. Might be a problem. And then, so I actually finished the tournament at 4-2. Round 1 lost to Traffic, and round 6 lost to Lexi. But since I had got paired up, I was able to sneak into the top 8 and the 8 seed with a 4-2 record. Unfortunately, I had to play against the Lexi I just lost to again in the top 8 because they were seeded first. And I had probably the worst Lexi game I've ever had in my entire life. Lost or my opponent chose to go second, and I drew a no arrow hand on my turn, so I actually ended up activating Quiver, and then I was just, I think, a little bit on tilt from the last game and made a mistake early where I should have just banked a 6-card hand and just made it a very terrible attack, and that just compounded through the rest of the game. It was not close. I got absolutely murdered. But I did get a cold foil Riptide and a reason to make this video. So if you want to see the list, here it is. So yeah, starting equipment, no surprise. We had Bullseye Bracers, Fandel Spring Tunic, New Horizon, Quiver, Snap, and Voltaire. So I pretty much was on the race Kano plan. So I really only had access to AB1 my whole equipment suite. I was running, 2 Arctic Incarcerate. We're going through this alphabetically, so this is off of Fabry. Great site. If you haven't used it, check it out. 2 Arctic Incarceration rather than 3, but I think this is just a great card. As I said, it single-handedly was able to turn the tide against Usuri and did some other shenanigans as well. It's Bolton Shots needs no introduction. 3 red, 3 yellow. I was running 3 Chilling Ice Fang, which is kind of interesting. I really think that card is absolutely bonkers, even with the consistency not being what it was in the full Ice Fuse deck. I think the card is really good to put your opponent in a really weird spot where they're damned if they block and they're damned if they don't block. So it's a very disruptive card if you can get the fuse on it. So there were at least one occasion where I didn't have the fuse and opted to arsenal it. The other weird thing about arsenaling it is that you really want Chilling Ice Vein to be your first attack on the chain, since it will trigger for every other attack that hits that turn. So I am not above just using the Snapdragon Scalers on a attack number 1 Chilling Ice Vein. I will do it. No question about it. Death Touch, I'm running a 1 of because, I find it's great. Like if I'm on the going second, and I will just block with that in a heartbeat. I want it in my graveyard so I can codex it out later on with a Codex of Frailty and then play it off of hopefully a counter from my Tunic. Very powerful. That was able to close out at least one of the rounds. Drill Shot, super good card. Definitely put a few -1 counters on equipment over the course of the tournament. Endless Arrow, All-Star. And another way that you can battle Dromai. Just get that Endless Arrow, leave it face up, attack them with 2 arrows, take out a dragon with the 3rd one, and then back in the arsenal for the next turn. Falcon Wing is really great for those 6-card hands where you can put that in your second arsenal slot and open your chain with a Falcon Wing. If you got a Rain Razors, now you're off to the races. Hamstring Shot, I love this card. Consider going up to 2. Just another disruptive card that, Lexi often demands your opponent block with 2 or more cards. And if you can hit with a Hamstring Shot, it can really mess up their turn. Heat Seeker, great tempo card. If you hit with a Heat Seeker, you are very, very likely to win that game. Infecting Shot. I'm playing 6 Infecting Shots. I want blues that have some sort of impact so I can, we plus it on our last Voltaire activation, and you can come in for 4, so get a little break point, and, a hidden 2 damage there on the Blood Rot on their turn. And then a couple, I think, things that vary for me to some other lists is I'm running a Lightning Press in the main. That is just sort of a game closer where people are trying to clean block as much as possible. You have a lot of 6 attacks that come in, so they can block with 2 cards, and any other pumps are actions, so they see it coming. So this is just a really nice way to get them. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, cool. You block 4, you're at you're at 3, or you're at 1, and I attack for 4. You're gonna block 6. Boom. And that did happen. That was the card that got me a win. I think it was against Lexi. Was how I actually ended up closing out that game. And Premeditate, I'm only running 1 of. I might go up to 2. I definitely don't want 3. A Ponder token stacked it has a little bit of value just because you have more flexibility in what card you want to put in your arsenal, but really you're only gonna get to put 1 into the arsenal. So, but it is a really powerful card. Getting that Ponder token is super important. And the opposing Lexi player that I lost to twice is the reason I'm considering going up to 2. Remorseless was an all-star against Katsu. I got a hit off of it that dealt 3 to 4 extra, made them lose 3 to 4 extra life on their turn due to their attack actions. So I could see this being in the sideboard also, and bringing it in, 1 or 2 copies depending on what I think I'm going to be facing at that particular tournament. Searing Shot, great. 0 threatening, 5 damage. So 3 of a kind, Codex, Rain Razors. Yeah, no surprise there. I'm running 1 Art of War. I don't want 2 Art of War turns ever, but 1 is pretty good. And if you can chain that together with a Rain Razors, I feel like the decks that run 3 Art of Wars, I know Yuki runs 3 Art of Wars in a lot of their builds, but that is not the way for me. And I mean, if you high roll with 3 Art of Wars, you're going places. But I think there's a little more consistency, and I don't think you need to do it right now because the deck presents so much damage as it is. And then 6 Winter's Bites. I might go up to 7 or 8 Winter's Bites. And Frostlock in the blue spot, just an arrow with blue pitch that blocks for 3, that can, off of a Voltaire and the last attack and still come in for 5. And Headshot, the same thing, another blue pitch that can still come in for 5. And I think that's pretty powerful. And then just 1 Sedation shot, just a little garnish of Sedation. And then my sideboard here, I have some poppers, 2 Down and Dirty and a Command and Conquer. Might go up to 2 Command and Conquers. And I definitely thought that this Inertia Trap was a Frailty Trap. It was not, so I had an Inertia Trap in my sideboard. I don't recommend it. But the Fatigue Shot, I could take or leave it. I don't think I need that either. Kind of built this, the night before the tournament. I play Lexi, but, when you're deciding on your final build, like, the sideboard, I'm not so sure. It's a little loose, I'm not going to lie. 2 Lace of Blood Rots. I just like I brought these in almost every match, and they were great. So, it turns your Falcon Wing into your first attack coming in for 6 with an on hit, put your opponent in a really awkward position, because they know you're going to have 1 or 2 more attacks following it. And if you can make your first attack threatening and still have the follow-ups that are, built into the arrows themselves, it can be pretty devastating. Second Lightning Press, I don't think I need it in the sideboard. Same thing, I don't know what that Pathing Helix just sat there all day long. There's no reason for it to be in my sideboard. It should either I'm going to play another 0 or I'm just going to cut it. There's 0 circumstances in which I would be like, oh, fuck yeah, I need that Pathing Helix for this matchup. Codex of Inertia, I didn't face an Oldham, but it was in the quiver of Abyssal Deaths, or for longer fatigue games, where your opponent is relying on D-reacts out of the arsenal, especially Oldham. I want to keep them off their arsenal. So I would probably, Oldham is now, I just found out, living legend, so I maybe just leave it at 2. But I would have gone up to 3, but Oldham is a beast. So hats off to you, Oldham. Won't miss you. Thank you. And then 2 Tar Pit Traps. These are great against, Lexi's specifically, and any other deck that has good on hit effects that are pumping. So, and again, that played a good role in my victory over Katsu. And so that's it. That's the deck. It's nothing too different, but there's a couple different choices there. A few things I would change going back, but hey, my first Road to Nationals event, top 8, can't complain with the round 1 loss due to traffic. So I'm going to play another one again next Saturday, I think. So pretty excited about that, and thank you everybody for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I do some, competitive stuff, but I also do, some sketch comedy and music as well. That's it. Till next time.
It's got fat.
It's got fat, it's got fat.
Hanging in the studio while Jimmy is gone.
It's got fat, it's got fat.
I barely figured out how to turn the stupid camera on.